CFR. Welcome into the morning show. I'm Derek, and every Wednesday, it's Money Mindset with our friends at Lock Shield Partners, helping you to see money as a tool, not just a goal. And as you're going about life, you got things kind of planned out, you're enjoying things. All of a sudden, you get hit with maybe a car repair you were not expecting. It can totally throw your finances out of whack, which is why Clark Hayden is here to share with us why it's so important to have an emergency fund. Clark, where do we even begin with this?
Yeah, absolutely. Isn't that unexpected car repair always the worst?
Yeah.
And it always comes at a time when other things are going wrong, too.
Exactly.
So, that illustrates the need for an emergency fund. So at a very basic level, an emergency fund is simply money that you have sitting on the sidelines to use when something weird happens. Mm-hmm. Whether that's a car repair or the roof has to be replaced or somebody breaks an arm, that's what that money is there for. And so when we think about why, what's the importance? Why do we need one? I think it comes down to two main things. Number one is not a dollars and cents thing, but more so of a behavioral issue, peace of mind.
Yeah.
I have learned over the years that people tend to feel financial stress or make financial mistakes when they either feel like they don't have enough liquidity on hand or when they feel like their cash flow is tight every month, when they feel like their expenses are higher than their income. Those two things tend to lead to stress, which then bleeds into other areas of our life. So if we can have a solid emergency fund on hand, that just raises the peace of mind and the confidence level significantly in the household.
It won't have us reaching for our credit card to swipe that.
That's exactly right. That's point number two. So if we have that emergency fund on hand, then that prevents the need to use credit or to use a loan to meet the needs that pop up.
Is there an amount that we should try to, set out in our budget to say, okay, we need to have this much saved up for the emergency fund, right away?
Absolutely. Yeah, great question, Derek. So what a textbook would tell you is 3 to 6 months worth of your typical household expenses. So if you spend as a household $5,000 a month, that would be somewhere between $15,000 and $30,000. The general rule of thumb when it comes to that is if it's a dual income household, you could lean more on the 3-month end of that. If it's a single income household, more on the higher end of that. That way it just provides you a little bit of protection in the event that there is a job loss or a reduction in income for whatever reason. And Derek, what I would also throw out there is it's not, especially if it's somebody that's just starting off, it's not reasonable to go from just starting to 6 months worth of expenses.
Because that's a big number.
That's a big bite to chew.
Yeah.
And it's totally acceptable that it might take years to fully fund that emergency fund, and that's okay. The important thing is if you haven't started yet, start small. That can be $10 a week that you're depositing into an account, or $100 a month, or whatever the number is. But I think the best way to go about building that is to automate it as best as you can. Remove yourself as a barrier. If you can set it up in your payroll to have a certain amount of money every pay period go directly into a savings account, that's a really easy way to do it. And then the second thing I would throw out there, keep it separate. Your regular checking account or your regular credit card that you do your normal spending on, ideally that's a separate account from your emergency fund. While you still need to have access and liquidity to your emergency fund, sometimes it's just a behavioral piece to know, gosh, I feel like I got to take this extra step to get it. Helps prevent folks from dipping into it for non-emergency reasons.
All right, get that emergency fund set up. Some great tips to walk you through how to do that and what to be looking for. Head on over to ChristianFamilyRadio.com to dive into the topic a little bit deeper, or visit LockShieldPartners.com.